Oh, hi. How many of you go traveling during school holidays? What are the places that you've been to? Wow, that's a lot of cool places. I love traveling, you know. Sometimes for the weather, sometimes for the sights and sounds. I know, I'm feeling very sad also that we can't go traveling at this moment, but hopefully we can do that really soon, okay? Do you have a place in mind when we can start traveling again? Some place special that you would cherish. Do you have a place like that? For me, I know exactly where I'll go. It is this magical place that would always bring me joy and laughter, as well as bring me back in time. Let's rewind. Many years ago, it was school holiday and my mommy wants to bring me to visit her brother, my tuaku, on an island called Pulau Batu Bulat, which means a round boulder island. She told me that it was because the island looks like a round stone, which means you can go round and round the island, starting at one point, walk in a big circle, and end up at the same point again. The island had all sorts of different people living in it, much like here in Singapore. There were the Malays who live in the middle of the island on kampungs such as Kampung Kecil. There were the Indians, some of whom owned the cow and goat farms all around the island. And then there were the Chinese, mostly Hokkien families who settled here from China a long time ago. And my mummy's family was one of them. It was the first time me visiting my mummy's hometown. That was the place she was born and spent her childhood at. She told me I won't be hitty for the rest of my life because there's so much coconut to eat. Actually, there's another reason why I won't be hitty. You know why? Because my tuaku owns a big piece of land. And on that big piece of land, there was an ice factory with a fridge as big as my HDB flat. Yes, he has a fridge the size of my HDB. Wow, he's truly the king of Batu Bulat. He's my uncle, right? So I guess that makes me royalty. I'm the prince of Batu Bulat. The island may look near, but the journey was a long one. We have to take a ferry for 2 hours to a small island, and then on that island, we have to take a beca ride for 20 minutes, and then change to another small boat ride for another hour, cutting through all the mangrove forests and all the other islands. And there it was. Pulau Batu Bulat! The captain shouted. He dropped us on a seaport that was actually owned by my tuaku. And at the end of the very long stairwell, stand a boy holding 2 popsicles, one on each hand. And he stretched out his hand and passed me 1 popsicle. I took over the popsicles and suddenly he went, Selamat datang, selamat datang, selamat datang, selamat datang. He was my cousin. And what a warm welcome that was after a long, arduous journey. He really made me feel like a prince. Although I never met my cousin before, but he always has this huge smile on his face, and that made me feel welcome. We were very different people, you know. He was a kampung kid and I was more like a city boy. There were very little things that we know about each other's life and the place that we grew up in. But with his friendly smile and his generous heart, from which he shared everything with me, made me feel like I am home. Has anybody made you feel like that before? It has always reminded me to always treat people with kindness, because you never know how people are feeling. Who knows, with a simple act of kindness, you can make someone really happy. Oh, back to the story. So, we just reached the seaport, right? And then suddenly my cousin just grabbed my hand and pulled me towards a cart that was laid on a track connecting the main house to the hut on top of the sea. It is half metal, half wood, with an engine or machine by the side. And it has this rubber track that is connecting to the wheels. It looked rusty and rugged. And then suddenly, my cousin just whipped up a metal thing and start yanking on the engine. Yank and yank and yank and yank. And suddenly, the engine comes to life, spitting black smoke and break the silence of the island with a thunder-like sound. It sounds like hung long 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 hung long 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 hung long 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 hung long long long. The pot is a very narrow and small one. It has a wooden plank laid below the track, one after another. Some are longer than others, and some are older than others. You know, I love to ride on roller coaster. It always makes me feel fun, excited, and dangerous. But the cart that I'm on now, it's scarier than any roller coaster ride I've ever been on. Instead of a seatbelt, all I had was a popsicle on my hand that is now melting and my mummy's hand. And then there it was, the most scariest but magical 30 seconds of my life happened. The cart just went, and I go, do you know what it was? Do you know what I just did? It's at that moment that I realized I understand what it meant by a silent scream. Did you hear it? I do one more time, okay? Do you hear it? The loudness of the silence. But after the ride, I went to the main house. You know, life on the island was a fun one. There's always a lot of people around you, and there's always animals to chase and play with, and you always get into trouble together. And once in a few months, there's this competition that happened on the island. It could be a football competition, or a kite flying competition, or windsurfing competition that involves other villagers. And if I happen to be visiting during this competition, I'll always be glued to watch this competition. It is so fun to watch them. No matter win or lose, everybody respected each other and having great fun. But most importantly, during this competition, right, my family would sell the famous popsicles, and I would be there to sell it too. Apple, orange, banana, pineapple, champira. Did you hear it? Apple, orange, banana, pineapple, champira. Sometimes I even say it very fast. Apple, banana, champira. Can you say it with me? Apple, orange, banana, pineapple, champira. Okay, now you say it very fast. Yay! Well done! And my favorite flavor is apple, orange, banana, pineapple, champida. I love them all. Apple, orange, banana, pineapple, champida. And there's also another treat on my island that you can't miss, which is Putu Piring. It is this steamed rice pancake with gula melaka at the center. And there's this auntie or her daughter would always sell this Putu Piring every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. sharp. If you miss it, you have to wait one whole week for it. There's one time I missed it for 2 weeks straight. So on that faithful Saturday morning, I'm very will and determined to make sure that I'll get it this time. So I wake up very, very early. It's still very dark. Don't ask me what time. It's still very, very early. So I sit down there and waited and waited and waited. And then suddenly, I hear the voice. Putu Piring! Fresh and hot! Come and get it! I was so happy, I jumped. I took out my money, and then with my scissor hand, I run towards the girl and give her the money and realize, today is a different girl. But it doesn't matter. I want to get my Putu Piring fixed, so I pass her the money. But suddenly, one boy on a bicycle whizzed past and then knocked her on the floor. Hello? The story is over here. Don't move, Don't move, Oh no, the girl! I quickly helped her up. Oh, thank goodness, she only had a graze on her knee and everything looks fine. She turned around and said, thank you. And then, she passed me the last packet of Putu Piring that is there. I took the Putu Piring, passed her the money, and ran off happily. And then I stopped and looked back. I saw that she was very sad. Then I think to myself, oh yeah, it must have been a terrible experience. If that happened to me, I would probably feel the same way too. Then I think, what would really make me feel good at a moment like this? And think, and I think, and I think. The answer is in my hand, the Putu Piring. I walk over to her, I pass her one piece of the Putu Piring. She had a bite and she smiled at me. And I smiled back at her. And not for long, we both are smiling at one another. Gula Melaka on our teeth. I suddenly remember the first time when I reached the island, my cousin passed me the popsicle and how that made me feel. A simple act of kindness can really make someone's day. And I made a new friend today. And that is one of many stories that happen at Pulau Batu Bulat, where you can go round and end up at the same place, but will never get bored. Sometimes I'll miss it and yearn to go back despite the long, long journey. Maybe you can come visit too. We are just somewhere over there, across the sea, full of stories for you and me to enjoy. See you there, maybe. Bye-bye.